We are now transitioning into our first panel discussion, Reimagining Pharma, transitioning from traditional generics to transformative therapies. This topic is highly relevant as the industry shifts from generics to value driven innovation, focusing on advanced therapies and precision medicine, while balancing affordability and accessibility. I request Mr. Anup Sons, founder editor, medicineman.net, to be the moderator for this session. Now, I request the panelists for this discussion to please take their places on the stage. Mr. Vardarajan Satyamurthy, Executive Vice President, Human Resource, Commercial Excellence and LNOD, Microlabs Limited. Dr. Anju Mishra, Vice President, Pharma Research and Analytics, C5I. Mr. Mohan Devadiga, Chief Operating Officer, Graphene AI. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Now let's start our first panel discussion.
So, good afternoon, and it's a pleasure to be with all of you. And I think we've had some very stimulating keynote sessions which should have warmed the panel members. And the introductions, I will not go into it. We'll straight away dive into the subject. So at the end of it, we probably will have some 10 minutes for question and answer session with the panel members. What I would request you, those who have questions, is to kindly write it down. And somebody from IIHMR can collect those questions and give it to me. So that when you write down, actually, even in the era of artificial intelligence, the hand-eye movement actually stimulates your neurons, not the scrolling. Okay? So it's very, very important that you learn from this time itself to write. So write down your questions, be clear on what you want and from whom, and then we will see how many questions we can take. So are we ready to roll ahead? Okay, great. So I have disclaimer, or should I say, I have taken enough help from AI to phrase this question. So you have a very diverse audience. Yeah, you have somebody from the research industry, you have somebody from proper pharma guy, Varadarajan, whom I've had the pleasure of knowing for 25 plus years, and so too Mohan Devadiga. We all worked in the field as reps and then grew up. So, you know, hardcore pharma guys. So I'll let you go first, Dr. Anju. So if we step back and look at global pharma today, what do you believe is the single biggest shift in the industry from a science, business, and patient perspective?
I also belong to Core Pharma. I started my career with Cipla.
Yeah. Is she audible?
Am I audible?
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I belong to this community. And then eventually, of course, I matured into a more research sector. So I think your question is very relevant in today's times when you say that what is the shift that has happened overall in the pharma industry? I would like to answer this question maybe covering four basic components. Am I audible?
Yeah, no.
Thank you. So when I look at the pharma industry today and versus maybe a few years back, the one single shift that I see is the movement from a chemistry-led volume model to more of a biology-led, and I think people have spoken enough about it since morning, a more biology-led outcomes-based model. So that to me is the defining criteria of the shift that has happened. But as I said, I would like to break it down into 4 components which come to my mind immediately. One is the shift from a science perspective. The second would be a shift from a business perspective overall, looking at the pharma companies. Third would be from a patient perspective, and I think for lack of a better word, the fourth shift could be from a more structural perspective overall. So from a science perspective, as everybody has already spoken about it, uh, there is a value redefinition that has happened. So we are no longer just looking at blockbuster drugs to be a marquee of success of the pharma industry. We are more looking at the impact that these drugs are having on the patient, right? For example, personalization of medicine. The complex biologics are doing the trick. The cell therapy, the gene therapy, CAR T therapy, some speakers spoke about since morning. So immunology is doing the trick. The discovery, the impact that AI is having on discovery timelines, on the discovery process per se, is enabling this, right? The second shift that I want to talk about is on business. Now, on business, no doubt we are no longer looking at a blockbuster drug defining the value, but the shift is more towards instead of say how many patients have you treated to how effectively have you treated a patient, right? So that is the impact that business is having today. And um, instead of looking at, for example, micro labs, right, for lack of a better example, again, we are not looking at one single pharma company doing things end to end. We are looking at innovation being borrowed from here and there. So that's on business. The third is patient. Now, patients today, they are living like kings in the era of retail, in the era of retail banking, for example, who are treating these patients like the most important person on earth. And when these patients go to hospitals, that's the exact same treatment they are expecting, which means don't give me a Me Too drug. Don't give me something which, just about anybody can have. What is in it that you're giving to me, which can actually help me personalize my treatment, right? So in that era, when patients are carrying data on their wrists, I'm wearing one, right? So I can go to my doctor, tell the doctor, hey doctor, last night I think I had an episode of atrial fibrillation. And my cardiologist would be like, oh, okay, how do you know that? Right? So in this era, I think patients are demanding more and more and more from their doctors, from the healthcare providers. So it's a era of new expectations when you would also like to uh, get personalized medicine, and also when we talk of say digital twins, for example, right? We can't wait forever for a new drug to come. Digital twins, agentic AI, all of this is helping us reduce the timelines. Lastly, and I'll pause after this in case anybody has questions, when I spoke about the structural impact of this shift. So the structural impact is more towards an orchestrated ecosystem, right? People like you, the universities, the academia, biotech, which provides innovation, pharma, which can provide scale, uh, all of these, and tech companies, right, which provide technology and the AI required for us to come to new drugs, better drugs. All of these need to work together as one integrated ecosystem for success to happen. It cannot be fragmented.
Great.
So to me, that's what the
So I
shift
think
is.
everywhere we are talking about ecosystems as necessary so that the end consumer or the patient really benefits from an ecosystem where he can access what he needs, when he needs, and how he needs it, because that is how they are accessing so many other services through the apps. You can select the blood test that you want, you can know what charge you want, and the guy comes home and collects the blood sample, and in 48 hours the results are there. So I think the whole spectrum of accessing healthcare for some segment of patients at least is changing dramatically. Those who have the smartphone are using it for all kinds of purposes. So you can get, so it's an ecosystem that is available. The patient may preemptively do the diagnosis himself with the help of all these diagnostic labs which are pushing their products to housing societies and all kinds of places through their apps and their physical presence. So, Mohan, you've been a veteran on both sides. You've been on the pharma sector working with both the MNCs and then the Indian companies. And then now you have moved into a very niche area of AI almost 9 years back, when today we are talking about AI. You've already been there. So, can you tell us what's the impact of AI going to be on these various areas of this ecosystem? And the hype is always there because you have to raise funds. Without funds, you cannot raise, without hype, you cannot raise funds. So, can you tell us what is really happening and where the impact of AI is going to be there?
Yeah. So thanks, Anup. I echo what Dr. Anju said. In the area of drug discovery and development, the AI has really played a measurable impact, right? So, for example, if you take pre-AI era, it took about 10 years for us to decode the genome sequence. But today, if you have to get it done, it does it in 5 hours. And it costed us $1 billion against today it can cost us only $1,000. And that's the power of AI, right? And if you take drug discovery, we are talking about precision medicine because our understanding of genome sequence has gone up. Of course, we are still understanding only 2% of the genome sequence. You can imagine what are the days to come. And AI is helping tremendously in designing the drug target, designing the drug and identifying the drug target as well as identifying the right patients. And when it comes to the drug development in terms of the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 trials, as we know that, it has to come through those stages. Particularly in phase 1 study, as Dr. Anju was telling, there is a concept of digital twins. There are in silico trials, and US FDA is, at least right now, they're accepting it as a supplementary data, if not as an independent data. And it has brought down the cost almost by 30%. Of course, the days are still far away for it to impact phase 3 trial, I would say. I see a tremendous scope for AI to, reduce the 3 problems we are trying to address there. One is the cost, because any new drug coming into the market, it will also already have a cost of $1.5 to $3 billion, right? And the second is the speed. It's very slow. It takes about 8 to 10 years for a new molecule to come in. And the third one is the failure rate. Only 1 out of 10 drugs which enter the clinical trial would come out successfully. So these 3 factors, I'm definitely seeing an impact of, the AI. And apart from that, the repetitive task. Once the drug is already in the market, you need to do a pharmacovigilance. Those area AI has well entrenched. And I would say still there is a scope for improvement in LLM or generative AI space, because of generative AI is as good as the data beneath it or data under the hood. So that's where, it would take some time for it to.
Can you give us some examples now from your company, Graphene AI, who are, you don't need to name your clients, but you can say at least whether they are in India or they are in the global scenario, and what's happening in the world versus in India. Where are we in terms of adapting AI in terms of real utility?
Yeah, I think they are at a very various stage of, adoption. In fact, I have seen them very closely even much before, the generative AI models come into the scene, because we were trying to develop our own model, scraping doctors' conversations, patients' conversations, and trying to get the report out of it to address their business needs. So there we used to face a lot of hesitancy because, they never believed it. Now the situation is slowly changing with LLM models being there. For example, models like Perplexity, they give the data along with the references, because in some of the models like Gemini or ChatGPT, if you ask the same question after 5 hours, it may come out with a different answer, right? So that credibility is going up now. And in terms of the marketing, see the medical generation content, pharma is a very regulated field, right? So medical generation, content generation, it has a tremendous scope, but still it has to pass through a biggest bottleneck, I would say, the medical department, right? They would see each comma, full stop, references and all this. So it will take some time for that. And I think even the marketeer, for example, he has to definitely start using LLM because it's a huge efficiency improvement for him. For that to happen, so the underlying data, as I said, so it has to be good. And one more interesting thing which we had done with one of the clients of a wearable health device company, right? They were capturing every minute 8 vitals data. Okay, so it is 8 per minute. Just imagine per day, it was 11,252 data points, if my maths is right. 1 or 200 here and there, right? So just imagine that sort of a data to be analyzed by either a patient or a doctor. It's a humongous task, right? So that is where the AI does it very well in terms of the pattern recognition. So it can predict where it could go wrong. So these are some of the areas, we have really seen definite improvement with AI being there. Yeah.
So coming to you, Vardarajan, you have been on the wide spectrum of pharma functions from sales and marketing to analytics to SFE and commercial excellence, and now you're also looking at learning and development. So looking at all these changes, if there is one capability that is a non-negotiable or something that organizations and people, and especially the younger generation, need to have in the next generation, what would be that one capability that people and organization need to develop?
Anup, thank you. Thanks for asking this question. Before that, I just wanted to add a few learnings which I had in the morning. Pharma, both global and India, is at an inflection point. Though we may call that, we are the global generic and we are proud of it, great. But unfortunately or fortunately, I think we have to look at 3-4 levers which is coming out is better outcomes for the patient.
Absolutely.
I think that's coming out very clearly. Complex therapies are emerging and you have no choices. And the third is integrated care. I think these 3 points coming in, when you said about, I do want to connect the points to data point, when this is going to be my future in India, I think the talent also should emerge. So one of the points which comes out is, should I completely revamp the existing talent and bring in something new? I don't think so that's possible. What we need to do is, how can I retrain our existing people towards the requirement? Say, for example, in an R&D folks, or if you take marketing, or you get into any of the key innovation areas, I think what we generally do is, many a time we get into the mundane rut of many of the areas. And that's where I think the new AI emerging and some of the areas we could look at, and we are good at it, but how do we structure it and take towards the particular goal will be important. Now, coming to this requirement, what I look at it in an organization which is there is, we should select a gamut of people who have a leverage for the future potential, look at retrain them to the scope which is possible, and there would be another set of job, like for example, biosimilars or medical R&D expertise. These are the areas where I think we need to really hire those skills, get it clearly towards the expectation line. And this amalgamation of these two put together is going to emerge as a new organization for the future requirement, from the volume to the value game, which is going to be the future. Second is, with this particular journey, India has the potential, because one is we have the talent, already inherited talent. There are a lot of academia which is available who are ready to support. One of the area, to answer your question straight, is rather than pushing boxes, I think it should go into the more of a patient value per patient. That mindset shift has to come, at the strategic leadership level at pharma. The second important aspect, which clearly should be the game plan, which is going to be when you're going into value and you're going at innovation, I think the whole game plan will also change. I think with that, the talent will start emerging. I think with this point, one clearly comes out what is the talent I want to scout for. One of the bottleneck also, I will tell you what is happening. When I am already positioned very well with huge volume game, I am the global pharmacy. Why should I just suddenly jump? And there's a big change management. When this is going to be there, when I am comfortable, should I move? Should I really take a jump towards it? But in this particular game, there will be few emerging players coming out, which is not known today. There will be pharma companies, there will be some leadership which will suddenly abruptly come, which I just saw how Vikrant told very clearly. ChatGPT took hardly few years, and Netflix took so many years, and then other things took, LinkedIn took more. So same journey is going to emerge very shortly, and then the talent cohort which is going to come out of this is going to be tested very hard. I think that emergence we will see in not many years. Within another 5-6 years, you can start seeing it. At least at R&D level, innovation, technology search, and analytics, data science. I think this is very clearly showing the way that you have no option because global pressure is going to be immense. I think that's what I would say from the point that you asked.
Yeah. Dr. Anju, you have some thoughts on what is that one capability that will really make a difference? Because we are now talking about from the patient perspective, when we come, we are looking at real world evidence. We are looking at health economics, outcomes research, things and concepts that are not Indian pharma and Indian healthcare is so familiar or comfortable with. But we eventually have to move there because governments will ask us, if government is the provider of healthcare, government will ask us to demonstrate that if you have used this drug, then what is the outcome of this drug? In the case of a vaccine, it is abundantly clear to prove the outcomes. In case of polio, we are saying that we have become a polio-free nation now. So, even all kinds of drugs and diagnostics ultimately will have to demonstrate outcomes because government is increasingly becoming the key spender in healthcare. So, from that perspective, what are the one capability that we need to develop in the next 10 years?
I think Dr. Varadarajan has really dealt with this question in detail, but I can only support what he said. In addition to the point that he brought out, one thing which is very relevant is pleased to the people in this room, especially the students, is adoption of AI. Right? Now, the one capability that I feel everybody, each one of us, should have in us is that adoption. Now, the question, and in my role in my company, I usually get this question from people that, are you going to replace people with AI? Well, that's not how it will be, right? In no domain this is true, especially in science. But will AI make no impact on jobs or no impact on people? Well, that's not true as well. Now, if I look at scientists especially, right, will AI replace scientists? No. Scientists who work with AI will replace scientists who do not work with AI. And that's true for all domains. So I think the one thing that we should all be very, very welcoming for is the new technology. Work with youngsters in whatever role you're working in. If you're a teacher, if you're a professor, have open ears with the youngsters in your class, in your room. Likewise for people at senior levels in your companies. The evidence is there for all of us to see, very clearly brought out by Dr. Mohan as well, in shrinking the timeline of discovery and clinical trials. Right? The whole impact that electronic health records are having in creating placebos, right? Synthetic external controls. We had not thought about it earlier, ever. It's only because of AI that it became possible that today FDA is accepting those as an evidence to sort of approve new indications for existing drugs and also for primary approvals for rare diseases. So this is a big change, and it is in the benefit of all of us. So that one thing that I think everybody should adopt is new technologies.
Great. So, Varadarajan, I'll come back to you again because you made a very important point that, the current management or the current, say, let us say the CEO, he has his own set of targets, right, which has to achieve. And if you look at the lifespan of CEOs, it becomes very evident it is becoming shorter and shorter. So, if he is entrusted simultaneously with what he has to deliver in the near and medium term, as well as look at a distant horizon of 10 years, obviously he will, disrupt the other one, the long-term one. So, what are your thoughts on this as that, are we going to be stuck with incremental changes or, disruptors are going to come completely from outside? Now, if you look at technology, Google and Microsoft were the top players in terms of, but the disruption didn't come from them because they did not see AI coming in such a big disruptor. It's a totally unknown company called ChatGPT and DeepSeek from China and, others coming in the space. And so, is the future going to come from the existing company? And if so, what is the transition that we have to make? Because, transition is not something that you can take like an armband and stick it over here and it begins to work. People talk about resilience, people talk about emotional intelligence as if it's a cap that you can wear. It's a lived experience over a period of time by which you become emotionally intelligent. So, what is your take on that from an L&D perspective? Is to how do we make this shift?
Anup, very, very clear. If I see what keeps the CEO awake in the night, evidently clear that if I look at the growth and the competition with low margins and high volume, a CEO, if you ask, typically he wants to change the whole thing because he looks at speed and the profitability. So I think when it comes to these two game plan, very evidently clear, he has to use technology. Again, I think it's reinforced. He has no other go, but if he's not going to leverage on technology and people both, because you can't have only technology and say who is going to use it, who is going to leverage it, it comes out openly and clearly. What I see, one of the major milestone which is there in pharma, which is going to be there, today if you take 70 to 80% of Indian companies, they have only played in a volume game. What's surprising to me is now if you take the top 10 companies, they have started building brand because of the accessibility in India. They also understood that this will create a differentiation, even the minutest thing which is going to make the change. Now, this is where they have to fine tune it. For that, you require a lot of support functions to act, including HR for capability, marketing to make that intelligence, looking at the key lever that how can I speed is one of the lever which many of us miss out is the logistics and supply chain. They will use AI, I can bet on you that it's going to happen is they will use for demand planning. For example, what the CEO expects from the supply chain is, I want to reduce the inventory by 15-20, improve less wastage, but see that it's available on time everywhere. So these are going to be the growth levers, which was not seen as one of the things. They were always seeing as sales and marketing done, push the boxes, done. But how do I define a customer? What is the science behind it? How do I differentiate myself from the competition along with the science? Because you will agree today there are UCPMP law coming in. Very clearly your choices are limited, boundaries are very clearly drawn, and we need to differentiate ourselves in the marketplace. I think these are going to be the way the talent will be hunt and the CEO will have to work on this. That is my opinion.
Great. So, Mohan, from AI and global insights leadership perspective, I believe you are interacting with global companies, pharma companies, leadership for AI and other things related to that. Where do you see the biggest disconnect? And how do we close the gap between AI generated insights and real world clinical and commercial outcomes?
So I would like to address this question in two parts. One from a HCP or a doctor perspective. See, there is a very interesting data. In the US, if you look at the top 3 causes of death, yeah, in the US, if you look at the top 3 causes of death, you'd have guessed the first cause, right? Because it's the land of burgers and coke, cardiac events, right? And the second one is cancer. And the third one, the major contributor for the third one is the MD prescribed medicine. The overuse, wrong use, right? Wrong indication, drug interactions. And there was a survey done by Stanford University. They studied the decisions made by the doctors, 1,188 decisions over a period of 7.5 days. And they found 80% of them to be not having a published data evidence. So where is the gap? So how do you equip the decision enablement at the point of care? So that is where, the AI can play a major role in terms of, at the HCP level or a doctor level. And when it comes to the patient level, I see a very clear shift in the patient behavior. Because, again, Edelman had done one survey. They surveyed around young adults of 38 to 44 years. 38 to 44 years, yes. And 45% of them said, after using LLM, we know as much as the doctor knows. So where it is taking us, because we are living with a generation who wouldn't have seen a travel agent, who wouldn't have gone to a bank or don't even know how does that
the real world work.
Yeah. And everything is served to them in a very systematic, organized way in a platform, right? Be it e-commerce or quick commerce, whatever it is. So true patient centricity is going to come, whatever we have been talking for the last 10, 20 decades, I'm sure it's going to come in the next 5 to 10 years. Medicine also is going to be, healthcare is also going to be a self-servicing model. And which will be aided by the AI. So that is the change, that's what I'm visualizing very soon, which is enabled by AI.
I think excellent. So we are all agreed that AI is going to play a critical role in reimagining not just pharma, but the entire life of a consumer, in which healthcare is a part. We are seeing now education, how the children are adapting AI to do their homework. I also work for a school. So during the COVID years, we had all digital classes for 2 years. And after they came back, there used to be a funny cartoon which says that, now, Papa, how do I mute the teacher when I go to the physical class? So education, so you really cannot evaluate the change that technology is having. My 3-year-old granddaughter knows to change the screen on a phone. Every day, that's her first job. She gets up and the screen has to be something new. And the only thing she enjoys seeing video is of herself taken by her parents. So, and she is just 3 years and she knows how to unlock it. She knows, the zigzagging way. So we really cannot fathom what the next generation is going to do. I think the responsibility of each of us as leaders or as seniors is to facilitate the youngsters, the next generation, instead of saying don't use that phone, is to tell them how do you really use that phone as an effective tool. So with that, I will close the session. If there's any questions, we will answer those questions. Any questions? You made a very interesting observation saying that, the burger and those kind of lifestyle, they produce cardiac disease and metabolic disease and obesity in the Western world. Now, we were predominantly an infectious disease, market. If you look at the ORG or IMS or now PharmaTech data, except in the last 2 years, I think anti-infectives used to dominate the market. Now, for the last 3 to 5 years, Mixtard was number 1, Glycomet was number 2, and not any small volume. They were 500 crores. I mean, Novo Nordisk is simply a brilliant company at the end of the day, you know. So it's really fascinating to see that, in a way, whether we like it or not, the coming of cardiac diseases and obesity to India is an indirect reflection to say that we are also becoming a developed country. You know, with all the parameters of GDP and everything else, but this is also a parameter to say, look at the diseases that we are having now. When I was growing up, deworming was one of the main thing, because you know, we were playing in the soil, and then we used to have ringworm, so eczema, we had all these Bitex and what are other creams to apply. They're all gone now, you know. Children at a very young age now are having mental health issues. So the Western world is slowly, whether we like it or not, it's a different thing. But I think the same disease profile of a developed world is coming to India, and in that respect, we are a developed world. So like the developed world has adopted AI in a very big way, India also needs to adopt it in a big way. So thank you very much for patiently listening to us. Have a great lunch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enriching insights. It was fascinating to hear the shift towards advanced therapies is being balanced with the core pillars of affordability and accessibility, highlighting the impact of shift from chemistry-led models to biologically led discoveries. Then the importance of skilled trainings required for complex therapies and integrated treatments, along with the importance of having major focus on the patient-centric outcomes. Concluding with the impact of AI in drug discoveries, personalized and precision medicines, along with reimagining the entire healthcare delivery system. Thank you. We now take a moment to express our appreciation to our esteemed panelists for their valuable insights. May I request our moderator, Mr. Anup Sons, to kindly felicitate our panel members for their valuable contribution to this discussion. I Ashwari BS, Associate Professor, to felicitate our moderator, Mr. Anup Sons, in appreciation for his insightful perspectives. I request Dr. Naina to take the stage and conduct the further quiz.
A very good afternoon. Just to keep all of you, we have a quiz. Yes, at the end of the quiz, we have prizes to be given away also. Just to make the day interesting, memorable, because you are taking home the prizes. And second thing is, we have a lot of interesting sessions happening and the room is so cozy. I know it is easy to fall asleep. So let us not fall asleep. So let us be more attentive in the sessions. So since morning we have had a lot of discussions happening. So let me just check how much attentive all of you were. And if you please raise your hand and answer it, you will be given away with a prize. If it is in the mass, you have chocolates and water bottles on the table. That would remain your prizes. So please raise your hands if you know the answer, and the right answer will be given away with prizes. So at the end of every panel, we will have 4 to 5 questions with the promised prizes. And the questions are not just coming out of the panel discussion that is happening now, but whatever is being discussed since morning. So to begin with, let me keep it very simple, because just now we have had a panel discussion and very important point being discussed. My first question is, What is the third important cause of death in US as discussed by one of our panelists? Except for Usha ma'am, anybody can answer. What is the third important cause of death? Yes, sir, you can please come. Sorry, he was the first to raise the hand. If he goes wrong, I'll give the chance to the next person. So what is that? What is the third important cause of death as discussed in the panel? Madam, this is the person. He raised, is it?
When the doctors are prescribing
No, he gave away half the answer now. Sir, I'll give you the next chance. Don't mind. Yes.
may I?
Yes.
When doctors are prescribing wrong medicines. Or
So what happens when the doctors are prescribing wrong? You will get a prize. Please come. Usha ma'am, please. She wanted the session to be interesting. So she said, no, we will have quiz at the end of every session. They'll have a photograph with you, another prize. Yes. From the session in the morning, I would like to ask, what is our rank in Global Innovation Index? Sorry. I said you're not doing this. You missed one question. No, the answer was right actually, but she's not getting the prize. I've told you, please raise, stand up and then ask because it becomes a mass answer. You lost that, but I wish you had got it. So the answer was right. Please don't answer that way. Yes. One of the speakers in the morning discussed about one of the government project that was declared by our finance minister. Yes, please.
is it Bioshakti?
Biopharma Shakti. Yes, you get a prize from one of our guests, so please. Congratulations on that. And from the panel discussion which happened just now, there was a definite number when the guest spoke about how AI is helping them out in analyzing the data. He gave two different numbers. One is a single digit number, the number of data, and the other is a 5-digit number. So if you can give me that single digit number, you'll get one prize. If you give me the second 5-digit number, you'll get 2 prizes. So that is a bonus. So what was the number he discussed? He said that these many data were generated. Yes, please come. These many data were generated in a minute. And guess if what happens in a day. How can it is humanly impossible to analyze the data. So what was the number?
Yeah, 8 parameters.
Yes, one prize.
And 11,252.
Congratulations, you get that right. Wow. You're analytically very sound, sir. If you're a student, I'm sure you'll be placed really well. So please. So done for the minute now. Please be attentive in the panel discussion. Oh, you have bonus 2 more questions. Yes, you have 2 more questions. Since morning, there was discussion about one branch of medicine which saw an overnight growth during COVID. Like Netflix and LinkedIn. Sir, come on. You're a student, is it? Please come. Yes, give the student a chance. So what is that branch of medicine that saw an overnight growth during COVID?
Telemedicine.
Applause. And sir, can you please give him the prize? Yeah, your name please?
Aman Jaiswal. Pharma Management.
Yes, that's really, really nice. And now we have an abbreviation. So since morning, because I don't belong to pharma, I was decoding what both the abbreviations were. Like sir told, I also like belong out of the box. So because I have to keep I have to be attentive. I am writing my notes, and I have listed a lot of abbreviations. So let me also check with these. How good are we with this? So since morning, there was one presentation which gave an abbreviation which goes like this, that is RWE. What does RWE means? See, the presenter is smiling because she knows the answer, but I can't give you the prize.
It's real
But you
world
can give the
evidence.
prize. Yes, yes, sir. One second. Yes, students are. Yes,
I'm not a student, I'm attending.
right.
here. It's real world evidence.
Please come, ma'am. At least I'm very happy that everybody is attentive in the discussions today. You can say your name as well.
Myself Sneha.
From?
I'm from Fortria. It's a clinical research organization.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And also, if you would have said that there are guests, we would have all been attentive from the
No,
first.
I mean, a post-lunch session is more challenging now because you'll have more competitors. Thank you so much.